In the last class we saw Anubhuta Vishayah Asampramoshaha Smritihi iti. And while discussing about Smriti, memory, so we discussed how even though this Smriti, this memory, can be two types, Bhavita Smartabhya, Abhavita Smartabhya iti. So that means now we do remember, and one way, and what happens that when we start thinking of, it appears as it is. Other one is it is different. And while discussing this, that's why we say Sopne Bhavita Smartabhyaha Jagrate tu Abhavita Smartabhyaha iti. That's why during Sopna time, during sleep time, we do recollect certain memories which is not in keeping with the object. So it is a kalpitaha, so based on our kalpana, imagination. Whereas yathartha rupaha, suppose you recollect one incident, you recollect somebody, some memory, so as the person is, as the situation is, as the incident was. So that means it has been recollected as it is. But when we look at their characteristics, their impact, so we divide it into three categories. So they are called Sukhatmakaha, Dukhatmakaha and Mohatmakaha. That we have also discussed in details. So now when this Sukhanusahi Ragaha, Dukhanusahi Dveshaha, and of course Moha is nothing but avidya. So one need to overcome, because all these three comes under kleshaha. It is indirectly and directly painful. So when being painful, so we need to work on to overcome. And also we discussed most important point, that this smriti is connected to other vrittis, whether it is pramana, whether it is vikalpa, whether it is viparya, including nidra. Also smriti is connected. And interestingly, when you look at smriti, as we have seen all other things in details, with reference to especially this verification or classification of smriti, not only we look at sukhatmaka, dukhatmaka and mohatmaka, we also need to see very carefully that also these three types of gunas are involved, whether sattvika smriti, whether rajasika smriti or tamasika smriti. These three aspects also we need to look at in details. We have discussed in details just to refresh you people. Finally comes that also we have started. Now let us read. Abhyasa vairagyabhyam tan nirodha. Now this nirodha comes all the time. So generally, many people do criticize nirodha word superficially, because the word nirodha, let us say control, withdrawal, without context when we look at, definitely is a big confusion. So here he says, look, tan nirodha. So this tan nirodha, so how to do this nirodham and why to do nirodham? Because if we try to look at, very simple, that mind is always starts moving towards Vishaya. We say, as we discussed very carefully, all our vrittis very comfortably tries to flow bahati papaya. So keeps moving towards papas. That's why you call sansara abhimukhi. So it is towards samsara, you can say sense of becoming. That's why you can see for yourself. Mind will not move. More mind will not be interested to go anywhere where it doesn't find its interest or involvement. Only when it finds its involvement or some interest, you understand? Suppose two friends are gossiping, you are passing by, and where you discover that you do not know what they are discussing, or the discussion is in no way connected to you, nor in your field of knowledge, remember, okay? Nor in your field of knowledge or experience, will you be interested to listen to? Even if you listen, you understand? You will start awning, you will start to feel sleepy, because your mind is not involved. Whereas if you are feeling sleepy, and somebody discuss something that is connected to you, like in my case, there are 2-3 people are there, okay? You, even if I am sleeping, you talk about them. What happens to me, I get up, okay? So like that. So what I am highlighting here is, so mind or this smriti always gets connected to wherever it finds its interest. That's why mind goes towards samsara, sense of becoming. This is the main point. But we need to change that shrotra. Shrotra means the flow, okay? So what is we say? There are 2 types of shrota. One we call as Vishaya Srota, other one we call as Viveka Srota. Okay? So through the Vishaya Srota, Srota means the flow that it moves. So this Vishaya Srota takes us, or it goes towards samsara, sansara abhimukhi. Whereas Viveka Srota takes us towards what? Towards moksha, kalyanartham. So towards kalyana, towards moksha. Now if this is the case, now here I need to do the nirodham. So nirodham of my mind, nirodham of my chitta, mind is a small word, nirodham of chitta, chitta vritti means all the 5 vrittis, remember, okay? All the 5 vrittis to be do nirodham, we need to restrict, we need to stop, or else naturally it will go towards what? Towards papa, towards samsara. Because Vishaya Srota is very convenient. So because Vishaya Srota is very convenient, is very natural, very spontaneous, it will happen. We cannot stop it. So as the object gathers dust by itself, you don't have to make it dirty. You don't have to, unless you are crazy. Okay? You don't have to make anything dirty. Just keep it outside or keep it inside the room, it will become dirty. So also, the chitta to flow towards samsara or to have this Vishaya Srotra is very natural, spontaneous. Now here Nirodha is being done for this purpose. Now when this Nirodha is being done, now through this Nirodha, please understand, now you need what? You need this Abhyasa. Because without Abhyasa, this ekagrata, one-pointedness will not come. Abhyas means practice. So without practice, definitely it will not happen. So that's why the next sutra, which is very important, gives the definition of Abhyasa. So generally, as you know, Abhyasa, many places, manywhere, even we have seen the word Abhyasa. Because Abhyas we say practice. So that's why practice is more important, people highlight. Like, somebody said nicely, an ounce of practice is much better than tons of theory. Means the person doesn't know, understand what is theory, what is okay practice. Okay, this is called borrowed knowledge. I'm sorry to say, person might be great. It's a very unfortunate statement. Okay, but we philosophize. Okay, what is theory first of all, and especially in the knowledge. I don't see anything is theory. If you look at it as a pramana, in pramana there is nothing called theory. For example, if you know that in your drink there was a lizard, there was not, there is. Okay? In your drink there was a lizard. Now it has been taken away, okay? Once you know, can you call this a theory? Please come on. Is it necessary to practice? No. I should practice not to drink. It is impossible. Only those people talk about theory practice in this knowledge, because any other knowledge is perfect. Why? In other knowledge it is perfect. We need to see and we need to really understand very carefully. Let us see how. Because when we see that when the subject matter is different from me, their practice is important. Like driving. Knowing driving and practicing is entirely different. Because the subject matter is entirely different than me. So when the subject matter is different from me, there comes a theory and practice. Is it clear? Whereas in the case of Vedanta, the subject matter and me are not different. So when the subject matter and me are not different, both are one and same, how can I use the word what? Theory and practice. Is it clear? In fact, knowledge, once you know, you know. Yes, there will be some issues. That is called, the Sutra is highlighting this point. That's why I am bringing it very carefully. Because of your habitual error, because of your natural tendency, you may go to back and forth. In fact, both the sutras will be highlighting, next sutra also. But there is nothing to practice either. So that's why he uses this word. What is the definition of practice? That's why by mistake you should not listen to this sort of talks, okay? If you see any statement like this, okay, thank you very much, means you have not assimilated properly. You may be a great person in the eyes of others, okay? And how to look at? He says, look, tatra stito yatnaha abhyasa. So when he says tatra stito, tatra where? So there is a place. Tatra means there. So to avoid there, in order to avoid there, so there is a place, there is a location, or there is a process. Now in order to avoid there, maintain that, you need to put effort. So this yatnaha is called abhyasa, is called practice. So that means practice is nothing but is your effort, constant effort. Because now if this is the case, what is tatra? So tatra, because I was looking at very nicely, when we look at this abhyasa definition, tatra stito, so we change it. Stityartham, in order to avoid, yaha yatnaha, in order to avoid, wherever it may be, okay? This is a just simple definition. Stityartham yaha yatnaha sa abhyasa iti. I'm just trying to not change a little bit with this. The definition of abhyasa would be, in order to avoid, in order to be there, whatever it may be, makes no difference. Whatever effort you put, that is called practice. Suppose you want to be a doctor, to be in a particular position. Now, whatever effort you put to become a doctor, that is called what? Practice. Is it clear? Or else you may think, oh, practice, only these people inject sense of guilt. Can you see this point? It's such a beautiful word, the word practice. In the name of religion, in the name of this, discourses, spirituality, they inject only sense of guilt. Oh, you have not practiced. I remember, I think I have shared with you all. In my teenager time, I was really being inspired. Many people, many literatures I have seen. One of the Swamijis, in fact, he was great. I think he's still, now he's no more, sorry. He was. So he was a great person. And also he was vice president of such a huge organization. I had studied some of the magazines because that time he was editor of the magazine of that organization. Very old organization. And a few statements really it had, hit my mind those days. And luckily, as the time happened, in Chennai, I happened to meet him. So somebody took me to meet him. I cannot forget that memory in my life. I was eagerly, because my little teenage dream getting addressed, I won't say fulfilled, addressed now, okay? Attended, that's the better word, okay? And of course he was sitting there when I reached there. And he knew already about me because, okay, that time some news were coming about me with photos and all these things in that area. So he had seen that, my photo and other things. So then after that, then he asked me one question. Okay, since how long you are in this line? Means how long you have been practicing? This is the point, okay? I was very, honest and humble. I said, Swamiji, a few years since here I am just joined in this order. Oh, you have just joined. The way he expressed, I told. So what does it mean? It needs lot of time to practice, then only you will see. It is time required. I had to tell him, Swamiji, because in front of that ashram there is a huge tree, and that tree has got its monument. They say such and such time the tree is there. So I told Swamiji, this tree is much elder than you, and also this tree has got a direct memory of your lineage, your organization. And this tree has got more experience than you. He used the word, oh, it's very few years of experience. Correct, sir, not practice, few years of experience. Now I'm changing. I said, this tree has got more experience than you. Do you think that, should I prostrate to the tree? After that, I told, I think this Swamiji was great. I told, I have from childhood, from my teenage, I had a respect. Now I'm sorry, I don't think you deserve this. Namaste Swamiji. And I had to leave that place. And after that, I have never met him. Then after that, a message came to me. Oh, he's so stubborn. Please call him to meet. We'll talk to him. I said, no, I'm not interested to meet him anymore. So coming back here, These are the experienced people to talk. How long you have been practicing? Because they connect practice with experience. Can you see? Practice leads to the experience. That's why those who are rich in experience, they highlight about practice. Because experience is what? Subjective. Nobody can question, and you can color it. You can paint the way you want. That is what people do it. However, he says, look, how to look at. He says, look, the mind is always having taranga. Taranga means wave, okay? So what is wave? Up and down. So what is up and down? Harsha shoka. Sometimes elated. Sometimes crying, depressed. You can say happy or unhappy. Happy or unhappy is a very ordinary way of looking at, okay? So elation, depression, ups and downs. So that's why this is Sutra. Sutra means the flow, how the river flows. You understand? If there is a stone, you can see the tarangam, okay? Up and down in the water. So also all our vrittis connected to either harsha or shoka. Is it clear? All our mental process, common people, common way of looking at, is connected to either elation or depression. Sometimes blank. And somebody told Swamiji, being blank is very painful. Because people are acquainted with so much, either elation or depression. Because mind should only fit either this or that. If it comes in between, it's dangerous for people. Now, we take it little differently. Because common people understand this taranga means harsha shokam. But when we talk here abhyasa, harsha shoka rahitam, atarangaitam, iti, that which is free from harsham and shokam. And what is all about it? How to look at? Here you need to understand. So this harsham shokam, I'll go convert into guna. So when you say guna, so mind has got 3 guna. Tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. Generally, this harsha and shoka happens when mind is predominantly functioning in keeping with tamasic and rajasic. Is it clear? So that means this rajasic and tamasic aspect only makes tarangam, creates tarangam, ups and downs in my thinking process. Now what I need to do here? Now I need to develop sattvic aspect. That we say bimala sattvic, only sattvic aspect, only. So this abiding with only sattvic aspect, predominantly sattvic aspect is called tatra. Is it clear? The word there, abiding there, what is that? Making my mind purely, predominantly sattvic. Now, as you know, mind always will love to go back to rajasic, of course tamasic. If there is no involvement, okay, sleeping, okay. Suppose there is involvement, all your ears and everything is open. So that means how natural is mind to go to tamasic or rajasic. Now to bring to sattvic aspect, I need to put effort. I need to work. Now, in order to make my mind sattvic, that whatever efforts I put, that is called as here abhyasa. And of course, when you look at this abhyasa, there are many definitions, many statements in different places, which I am not getting into that in details. Because, like in Bhagavad Gita, being highlighted, the mind manaha dunigraham iti, and which is also chalam. Mind being chalam, very flexible, moving faster, it is very difficult to control. That nirodham, you cannot do it. But possible. What is? Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyanam cha gruhyante. In Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter, Lord Krishna has highlighted this also. That only with the help of this abhyasa and vairagya, the mind will come to one's own hand. How it will come to one's own hand? Not that you have to bring it back, not you have to forcefully do it. No. By improving sattvic aspect. Can we see this point? Because all the practice will get destroyed, because next sutra is more important than this sutra. If you say like what people talk about practice, which practice means, practice presupposes do's and don'ts. In fact, sometimes people think practice means do's and don'ts without understanding. Is it possible? That's why people keep practicing, then finally the practice gets dropped. And once it drops, you know what happens. It is like exactly every year you make resolution, okay? So this new year resolution, I will do this thing. How many days you do? Then again you stop it. Again after 1 week suddenly you wake up. No. After 1 month, let me start again. Again how many days? Okay? So it keeps coming. So that is called, you call practice. So this practice is based on do's and don'ts. But here we say very carefully. Here you have to be very careful. He uses this word. Why I am using this word? He uses that abrutikasya. In fact, Vyasacharya used this word, abrutika. So the practice, this nirodham, is to be done, this abrutikasya chitasya, the chitta which will have abruti. A means here, means opposite of bruti. Generally people translate no bruti. Ityartha. Means no thought. But it's wrong. There people go wrong, okay? It is like exactly, you want everything to make it ups and down, like 180 degrees, just like that. You flip it, okay? Even if only in computer you can flip just like that, okay? Even if to flip the photo, physically, I'm not telling you jokes, physically to turn 180 degrees is not a joke. Can you do just like that? To do that, you have to spend a lot of effort. You have to put a lot of effort. Only in a computer, in one click, you can do it, okay? Because there is an option. Flip the photo. Horizontally, vertically, whatever way you want. You understand? What I am highlighting here is that this avritika is not opposite. Because we look at this non-samasa, many times you have to look at when it comes. You have to understand what does this mean, this non-samasa. What does it mean? In fact, I was going through in details. So we have six meanings of non-samasa. I will not get into, okay? I know it will be very painful for you, okay? So, 6 types of non-samasa. You have to understand contextually which part it is, or else everything is other way around. Here it is being talked very nicely, one aspect. Here we say, what is this thing? Here we use what? Alpa vrittikasya means, here is being, sorry, I made a mistake. Avrittikasya means alpartham, means very less thoughts are there. So we need to understand this very carefully. If we try to take it abhavartham, like when you say apapam, there is a. So apapam means what? Papa shunyam, papa rahitam. It's completely free from papas. So there we take abhavartham. It is not completely abhavartham. That's why alpa. Suppose you say no, another is called adharma. See, same a. Okay? Adharma. Because you have to understand this word a. Adharma means what? So adharma means, here is virodha. Virodharthe. Opposite to dharma is called adharma. Can you see this point? You have to be very carefully understand. Adharma is being used at papa, ityartha. Opposite, when we use the word adharma, means what? Opposite to dharma, a. Also some places we use similarities. Look, we in English use, look, being a person, I need a brahmana. A person who looks like a brahmana, need not be brahmana. You understand? A brahmana. So there will be some similarity, look-wise or some way other will be a brahmana, but need not be brahmana. So there is being called a brahmana. So there we use similarities. Can you see this? All word, how it is being used differently in different ways. So here when it talks about abrutti, so abrutti means alpavrutti ityartha. Okay, please, this is the most important aspect to understand. So my job is here to make sure that my mind should be santam, taranga rahitam, free from all waves. Very nicely, what is called, how this mind can be free from this rajas, tamas, and how to define. That is a beautiful verse. It's worth remembering if you people can note it. Srutva spruštva cha drushtva cha bhuktva ghratva shubha shubham. I'll translate, don't worry. Shrutva, having listened to. Spruštva, sparsanam, by touching. Having touched. Drushtva, having seen. Bhuktva, eating. Ghratva, smelling. And what is that? Subha ashubham. Subha shubham. That which is pleasing to you and that which is not pleasing to you. Maybe you can put it which is painful, which is pleasurable, which is auspicious, which is not auspicious. Subha subham. Then he says, generally what happens? If something is pleasurable, if something is liked by you, mind will start get elated or not. Suppose it is painful, what will happen to the mind? Mind will go other around, your expression, everything will be different. Now he says, with reference to this, na hrishyati, na glayati ityartha. So there is no elation, there is no depression. So in the mind, there is no wave created. It is exactly like, for example's sake, I am saying it. When you read a newspaper, and especially newspaper, without accident, without murder, without violence, there is no newspaper, okay? Without blood stain, there is no newspaper. But when you read newspaper, what happens to you? Most of the time you are a wise person. Yes or no? You just look at it as an information. Unless you see suddenly some accident has happened where your son is staying, daughter is staying, or nearby your area, known area, what happens? Then after that you get into in details. Then you get into panic. Or else the information comes and just passes out. That's why you are able to read newspaper. Or else you cannot read. Nobody can look at newspaper. I'm sorry to say. So how that happens? Here he says, look, na hrishyati, na glayati. And that is what is called sa shanta iti kathyate. That is what called shantamanam. Sa shanta iti kathyate. That mind is called shantamanam. There is no up, there is no down. However, when this is being discussed, so now my job is what? I need to make sure to abide myself in sattvic aspect. That is what called tatraha sthiti. Now he says, look, sthiti, abiding there, becomes a sadhana for me. Can you see this point now very carefully? Now abiding there becomes a sadhana. So abhyasa is being converted into what? Sadhana. Now when it talks about sadhana, so we have two types of sadhana. One is antaranga sadhana, other one is bahiranga sadhana. Internal and external. So when we have this internal sadhana and external sadhana, which is being talked, which will be seeing as yama niyama, etc. Can you see this connection now? So which makes, again, when you say yama niyama, in the form of do's and don'ts, we'll be seeing. So don'ts to be understood, do's to be practiced. Never ever practice don't. Because more you practice don't, more you will be frustrated in life. The more you understand do nots, the more you will be able to practice do, so that do not will go away from you slowly. Can you see this point? And how it will happen, the next sutra will talk. Satu dirgha kalaha. So how it is possible, we will be seeing in the next class. Please. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.